We are live. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your host, Blake Ruffino. This is Are You Serious Sports? We hope that you guys are making it a good one. We know that we are as well. Huge series win for the Tigers. Absolutely massive weekend and series win for LSU over Kevin O'Sullivan. It sucks to be a Florida Gator. It sucks to be a Florida Gator. And the Florida Gators. It sucks to be. What's the over-under on a scale of 1 to 10? How many times, or on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being the least, 10 being the most, how many does Kevin O'Sullivan go to a tanning bed? I'm going to give it a starch 10. That man goes to as many tanning beds on God's given earth than probably any male on this godforsaken planet. Man's tan, y'all. That man is tan. All right. We do have a lot to get into today as we got day 2 of LSU spring football. We will talk on LSU spring football. We'll talk, obviously, some baseball as well, as it is the huge series weekend win. Zach Lee, our producer, is with us. So we got a lot to talk into as well with him. We'll get to him a lot later in the show, like we've been always doing. He's been a huge addition to our show. So welcome, Zach, in again. We'll talk about Matt House and Mike Denbrock and Matt House, their installation, what I'm seeing from the two men in their installation and their packages. Pause. But what they're installed, how LSU's look so far. So we got a lot of spring to talk about. We'll get to some March Madness as well. As I think Kansas was down when I started the show. So we'll keep an eye on the Kansas. Is it Kansas winning? Kansas and Miami? Isn't it Kansas and Miami? Let me see. I don't even know the score right now. That's how y'all give me the score inside the chat. Y'all give me that score. Let's see. Kansas is down in halftime, 35-29 to Miami. So we'll continue to monitor that and give a review of March Madness. And hashtag Ask Blake, got a question fired inside the Rudy Crew chat, and we'll get to as many of those as we can. Jason Morgan sends us $4.99 via Super Chat. He says, love the pitching rotation and batting order changes. I think they finally got what they needed in the right spots. Yeah, I'm absolutely in love with K. Doty playing short and him leading off. I like what Jay did. You get a huge series. Look, Florida's a really good team, y'all. Florida's a really good team. And with all due, as Al says up top here, let me find Al's comment. I saw it earlier. Let me find it because he had the stat. For whatever reason, I can't find it. But LSU, I think, outscoring. There it is, 27-6. See, that's what's the good thing about having a producer. Way to go, Zach. Way to go, Zachariah. Like Zachariah from the Bible. But he says 27-6 LSU baseball last 2 games. That's how you open the can of whoop ass on the Florida Gators. Absolutely. So absolutely amazing weekend. We'll talk about that right after. We got a lot of LSU football stuff to get into as well. So we'll talk some baseball to start off, and then we will get into some football. Going to give you some news. Going to tell you some things you might not want to hear, as always, but some things that are just the truth and things that are going on in day 2 of LSU spring football. All right, everybody, do us a favor by hitting the like and share. Share to some Facebook groups. Everybody on Facebook, dog. Come on, bro. Help. What do I got to do for y'all to help a brother out and hit that like button, hit the share? Like, what does a brother got to do? Hit the like button, hit the share. If you're watching this on YouTube, do us a favor there. Hit that like button, hit the share to Twitter, share to social media. Do us a favor by sharing, and don't forget to subscribe as well. We're still giving the $100 gift card or $100 away. There's not a lot of you, but y'all going to have to get over to Apple and Spotify, rate, review, and subscribe. Go over to Apple Podcasts, Are You Serious Sports? rate, and then leave us a review for your chance to win $100. Guys, all you got, it takes 15 seconds for you to possibly win $100. I mean, I'm giving more money out than stimulus checks out here, y'all. I mean, come on. Call this AYS stimulus package. All right. Let's get started, and let's pay some bills around this thing. None better than our good friends over at GM Varno & Sons and betonline.ag. With over 65 years of experience, nobody is better equipped to service in your vehicle than GM Varno & Sons. RV repair, big rig overhauls, motorhome chassis, routine maintenance, tire rotations, tire sales. No job is too big or too small over at GM. If you break down on the side of the road in the greater Baton Rouge area, they will come and get you. And the best thing about that is that they can come and get you, and then they can bring your vehicle back to their shop and start the repairs right then. Again, GM Varno & Sons. Go see them over at 2500 Fuller Boulevard. Give them a call at 225-664-9992. 225-664-9992. Tell them your good friend Blake Ruffino sent you on by. It's that time of year again as college basketball takes center stage with the tournament finally upon us. If you're looking to wager this year, BetOnline is the number one spot for all of your updated odds, info, along with great contests, including the bracket contest where you have a chance to take home the top prize. Head over to the website and use your mobile device to sign up today and receive your 50% welcome bonus on that first deposit. Just use the promo code BELIEVE, B-L-E-A-V. That's B-L-E-A-V to get started. BetOnline is your continued source for all your sports wagering needs, including live betting and your favorite Vegas casino games. Again, that's betonline.ag, betonline.ag. All right, let's get this thing rolling, y'all. Let's get this thing rolling, y'all. I love those commercials, man. I love them. We're moving up, Zach. We're moving up. Moving on up. Carl the Cat Dunn says, throw in some funeral chicken and hashtag like and share. Do I have to buy everybody some funeral chicken for everybody to hit the like button and share? Is that what we got to do, Zach? Maybe we'll get some people, the people some funeral chicken. All right. Let's see. Let's get to one more comment before we get rolling. Brandon Reese says, I wish they did they did start handing out stimulus packages again. Well, we're giving $100. So go to Apple, Spotify, rate and review. Your chance to win $100. Okay. So look, we're going to get to a lot of LSU football. I got a lot of things I got to talk about around LSU football, but to start out, we need to mention this. Friday night was a very tough night for LSU baseball. I don't think that you can go around any other way than saying it was just a very rough night. Blake Money wasn't on. Florida, right out the gate, hit a home run. It looked like a dire weekend. It looked like you were going to struggle again. Maybe that you would get to a Sunday game, get to today, and then maybe you would have to try to pull one out so you don't get swept. But needless enough, here comes the Tigers after Jay Johnson does what he does the best, probably, even when he was at Arizona, changing up the lineup, putting K. Doty at shortstop, putting Jordan Thompson at second, mixing up the lineup, putting K. Doty, who's probably the best right now when it comes to taking pitches that are outside the strike zone, has a very good eye for the ball. Trey Morgan, who can be a good leadoff guy, he really kind of isn't. You kind of need to protect Trey a little bit, put him in a two-hole. His first home run of the season, because he's right above Dylan Cruz. He hits a 2-run bomb Saturday, and the Tigers just continue to put it on the Florida Gators' ass all night long. Hashtag no pause. Jack Marucci would be proud, right? So the steroid era of baseball would be proud of how Gorilla Ball. What about Gorilla Ball, Blake? Guys, I mean, what did you see this past two games that didn't tell you that LSU can't spray the ball all over the yard? Home runs, line drives, balls hit to the opposite field. Hayden Jervinsky pucker up and kissing balls goodbye. What else did you need to see? Now, let me say this. I don't think in a deep tournament run, this team has enough pitching to get them through all the way through Omaha. I still don't think that they do. Not right now from what we've seen. But my God, heavens to Betsy, if you hit like that, it doesn't really give two Rudy Poos how deep your pitching rotation will be if you're going to score 8, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 runs. Let's not act like Florida is not really good when it comes to not only hitting, but especially pitching with Kevin O'Sullivan, the tanning bed man himself. Like, let's not act like Florida's not a top 8 team. Guys, they are. You went into Florida and you smacked that ass. No pause. I will say this, and Zach, we got dual strings of you down there at the bottom. But let me say this: I come to a point with this baseball team. I don't know if they're going to get to Omaha. I don't know if they're going to win the SEC. Right? Like I don't know if they're going to do any of that. Texas A&M had a huge weekend this weekend against Auburn. Look, Mississippi State starting to hit their stride. So when it comes down to it, can LSU put some wins together? Can they compete for the SEC after what they just did this weekend? You're damn skippy. You're damn skippy they can. Dutton coming in, being the starter for day 3, I like that a lot. Said it a couple of weeks ago. I like that a lot. He's shown that he can give you 4 to 5 solid innings. He did that today. I think you found your rotation. Shout out to Mikael Hilliard. Saturday. Now, the last inning, he got rocked around. Okay? He got rocked around. And there's no other way around that. He got blitzed. And I'm okay with that from Mikael Hilliard if there's a scenario where he's going to give you 5, 6, 5.5, 5 1/3, not 5.5, but 5 1/3 silent innings, and he's shutting the team down. When a team is able to do that, the way that LSU is going to hit the ball, you are going to be lethal. You are going to be lethal. It's funny what happens too. You know, I was asking, you know, in my family, we have over 60 years of head coaching baseball experience, right? And so I'm talking to some of them this weekend, and they're telling me it's funny what happens when you don't commit errors out in the field, right? You maybe give up a run. Maybe you give up a run, but the inning doesn't completely go away from you. Your guys at the plate aren't stressing. Then you got guys like Hayden Chervinsky, Braden Joubert, who, by the way, I'm going to start calling that man Joe Boo the way that he's hitting the ball. I mean, good googly moogly. That guy's hitting. I mean, he looks like a modern day Cajun Bryce Harper out there. I mean, he's just spraying the ball all over the yard. No pause. So I say all that to say, this team is very good. So everybody asked me, Blake, like last night in the Twitter spaces, Blake, why aren't you talking more about baseball? Why aren't you talking more about baseball? You still have 24 more SEC games on hand. I'm not even talking about the SEC tournament. 24 more games, guys. Now you handle business on the road. You handled business on the road. What happens next weekend? What happens when you face Arkansas? What happens when you face Vanderbilt? 2 very solid teams. Very, very solid teams. But let's continue to monitor. LSU dominated this weekend. I love what Jay Johnson did in his rotations. Jay even kind of hinted at asking Paul some questions. Interesting, huh? Interesting. So, just getting to some very quick questions. Kurt Paul says, pitching is needed for a long run. Always great pitching beats hitting. The SEC is a bloodbath. Every weekend is going to war. And I agree with that. And look, I'm not really worried about going to Omaha at this point. I want them to be competitive in the SEC. I want to go above 500. Like, I think that should be the goal. But I will tell you, if that team is what's going to show up every weekend, my God. And guys, the thing is that you weren't at home either. You went on the road and you refocused. It is very difficult to go on the road when you're a Central Time Zone team to go an hour ahead. Guys, they played the game at 10 a.m. Central Time today, and they legitimately, once Joe Bear hit that 2-run bomb, they didn't let up. It would seem as if Braden Gilbert had a lot of funeral chicken in his system, and that's what he ate last night, because he completely took over the game when Florida, what are you up 4-0 at that point? Now you're up on them a good bit, but you're not It's not like the 10-run lead that you would eventually get on them. Here comes Braden Joubert with a 3-run bomb. Got to give it to him, man. Got to give it to him. Oh, by the way, that's your set. You got 7, 8, and 9-hole hitters hitting absolute tanks and missiles out the yard. That's the difference from this year's team from last year's team. There's no breaks in this LSU lineup. Before you say Gio DiGiacomo, Gio's spraying the ball all over the field too. There's no breaks in this lineup. And for that alone, LSU is a scary team when they're at the plate. Now, when they're out in the field and they're pitching, I think LSU only committed one error, and that was today by Jacob Berry. And that's not even an error. I mean, that ball was tattooed down the third base line, and it was up on him. I mean, he was just lucky to stop it, right? I mean, so I got to give Jacob Berry, Dylan Cruz, Trey Morgan, all those guys a lot of credit. And look, Jordan Thompson, by the way, yesterday, Jordan Thompson had 3 hits. I mean, he was pissing all over the ball. So for that alone, I mean, he kind of seems to be settling in at second. So I'd like to see it. My good buddy TJ, by the way, TJ, I forgot to hit you up. Brother got his Grahamco package. Let's do this. I'm going to get to TJ's comment, but guys, I got to tell you, I got my Grahamco package. Zach, let's run the Grahamco ad right after this. Good, googly, moogly. I love me some Grahamco. Very quickly, but TJ says, shout out LSU baseball for the series win against the Swamp Lizards. Run that, Zach, let's run that Grahamco ad right quick. Guys, I've got to talk to you about our good friends over at Grahamco. They are the Delta 8 company based out of the state of Florida. They're founded by college football junkies just like you and I am not sure if you're familiar with Delta 8, but you need to be. Grahamco is the absolute leader in this field, and they have phenomenal products that I just need to tell you about. First off is the Wake and Bake coffee that is absolutely spectacular. The gummies are as well, as they're the best in the market. So go to thegrahamco.com right now and use the promo code AYS25. That's thegrahamco.com, AYS25 promo code to get 25% off of your order. Jump on this fast as it is perfect for holidays, anniversaries, and everyday use. Grahamco is hemp-derived and completely legal inside of the state of Louisiana. No medical card is needed, and shipping is very discreet. You must be 21 years older to order. Again, that's thegrahamco.com. Use that promo code AYS25. Yeah, I love me some Grahamco, man. It seemed like LSU baseball had some Grahamco this weekend because they were super relaxed, bro. They super relaxed. Brad Wentz. So we'll get to a couple comments. We're going to talk about football for probably the remainder of the show. We'll get to Zach's comments here at the end, and we'll let him spray. Speaking of spraying things around the yard, we'll let him spray his thoughts. Pause. Around the AYS. But Brad says, man, this coach has got to go. Brad, what are you talking about? Who are you talking about? Jay Johnson? Brad, are you talking about Jay Johnson? Good Google. Zach, hit that one again. I'm sorry. Hit that one again. Oh, Brad says sarcasm, Blake. Oh, okay. Okay. Brad, you scaring a brother half to death here, dog. You're scaring a brother half to death here. Whew. Jason Morgan sends $4.99 via Super Chat. He says, I feel comfortable with Taylor, Gervais, Collins, and Vittmeyer out of the bullpen. Raiselman throws hard, but kind of wild. Yeah. But Raiselman, you're going to need him. You're going to need him. And look, you're going to need him in those close games, man. I mean, look, with Fontenot, Fontenot does good at times, but I never know what Devin Fontenot you're going to run out there, right? Like, is it the Devin Fontenot that's about to get rocked, Colorado Rocky style, or is it going to be, Mariano Rivera Fontenot? I mean, I never really know. Nathan said Cade made an error at shortstop today too. Also, okay, so I don't know. I don't know why they gave that error to Barry. I don't like that a lot. When the balls hit that hard, I don't like giving that man an error. I thought that was pretty Rudy Poo. Very, very, very Rudy Poo. Ronnie says, come to Colorado and get the real stuff. LOL. No, Grahamco's the best. Go to Grahamco AYS25. One more, Zach. I'm going to kick it to you. No, we'll do that at the end because we do about a 10-minute segment. Let's just do that what we've been doing with a 10-minute segment. But LSU Colby says, hashtag Ask Blake, do you think Daniels will be under center first? I got some news on that. We talked about it in Spaces, but I'm going to bring it here. Just wanted to get some to one more baseball question before we get out of here. Brad says, talking about the fair weather fans, big dog. I feel you. And Kirk says, Gervais has been the brightest spot the last 2 weeks on the staff. Kirk, I agree with you. I really don't. As Kirk, as funny as that is, I don't know if your take right there is debatable. You know what I mean? Like, I don't, as wild as that is, it's like, I don't think that anybody could ever debate you on that. Jason Brumfield. Jason, I've been seeing you bringing this comment the last couple of days. But he says, hashtag Ask Blake, what are your thoughts on Brody Miller telling Paul Feinbaum that Brian Kelly's demand of accountability is rubbing people the wrong way? I did not hear Brody say that. I talked to Brody yesterday, and it was kind of the opposite. So I don't know, Jason, or do we have that confirmed that he said that? I don't mean that, Jason, the wrong way, but, when I'm talking to Brody yesterday, it seemed like a little bit different. Now, y'all keep me out of it now on that until because Brody had a pretty good piece the other day about it. So we can kick it off with that. Let's go to some football. And Rob sending us the super chats, boy. Man, look, when you guys send us these super chats, it means the world to us. We got Zach coming in. We're doing the new studio. We're doing a lot, brothers and sisters. So every time y'all send those super chats, it's greatly appreciated. Somebody told me to do a YouTube only show where people got to come in and pay a super chat to have a comment read. I was like, man, ain't nobody gonna come to that. Why would I do something where y'all got to pay money when everything's for free already? For sure. All right, we can get to some football. LSU day 2, out there on the gridiron. Look, I'm going to tell you something, and I'm going to continue to get blitzed on this. I'm going to continue to get I don't really know how to word this, right? Like, and this is the part from me that when I come out here and I talk about this, people are like, the DMs just flow. Like, Blake, you're an idiot. Blake, you're this. Blake, you're that. I'm sure Zach, who's been here with us for a week, can attest. I mean, these DMs come in. But, guys, you've gotten 2 days of work. You've gotten 2 days of watching the offense work. Now, we're about to talk about the Matt House installation, the Mike Denbrock installation. Guys, yesterday, for majority of the practice, Jaden Daniels was QB1. You can DM me, text me, group me. Blake, you hate Miles Brennan. Blake, you don't know what you're talking about. Blake, you have a bias towards this. Blake, you're a homer. I don't know how I'm a homer of Jaden Daniels when I never met the kid. I don't know how I'm a homer when the kid is legitimately, like, we got film of it. I think everybody needs to listen. Don't hear what I'm saying. Stop what you're doing. Everybody, stop what you're doing. If you're not looking at your phone, if you're not looking at your TV, if you're not, no matter what you're doing, stop. Uh-oh. We got a stragglers in the comments, Zach. You got to kick them out of here. There we go. Everybody stop what you're doing. You need to hear this. Jaden Daniels came here for a specific reason. Mike Denbrock, Brian Kelly, Joe Sloan brought Jaden Daniels in for a specific reason. If you don't think that specific reason is to be QB1, then why is he here? Because you already had 3 quarterbacks on the roster. You already had it. Brian Kelly talked about the dynamic feet and running ability of Jane Daniels. And yesterday, with the installation, okay, yesterday with the online installation, we saw a lot of stuff going on with Mike Denbrock getting his quarterback out of the pocket. Miles Brennan, that does not fit well to Miles Brennan's skill set. Now, if you have not watched Mike Denbrock's offense or what Brian Kelly actually likes to do at Notre Dame, I don't know how else to say it. They don't want a guy that's a statue in the pocket. I'm not saying Miles is. That goes for any quarterback. Zach Mettenberger, good friend of the show. We've had him on the show, who's actually a part of Alabama's staff now. That's not the kind of quarterback they want to go after. They want, it doesn't matter who you are, you better be able to run the football. I don't even say run the football. You better be athletic enough to get outside the pocket. When the pocket's collapsing, stop making a read, get out of there, get some yards, get a first down, get down, don't get hurt. LSU is spraying the football all over the place. Play action, zone read play actions, bootlegs, shotgun bootlegs to the tight end, quick slants off of RPOs. Guys, do you know that yesterday, and I know most media members don't know what this looks like because they called it a pass play when it wasn't a pass play. They gave the ball off and then threw another ball to Brian Thomas and Chris Hilton on a slant. Guys, they're running a lot of RPO-based schemes. The reason Jane Daniels is in there is because his skill set benefits all of that. It does not matter whether you like what you're hearing or not. It does not matter. The facts don't care about feelings. And if Miles Brennan, we got a long way to go. A long way to go. It's day 2. Miles can work himself into being QB1. As of right now, and from everything that we know, everything that I know, and everything that everybody else knows, Jane Daniels is QB1. So take it for what it's worth. Take it for what it's worth. Update. Aaron says Kansas is leading Miami 47-40. Man, that was quick. Whew. Kansas must have came out at halftime and laid the smack it down on that candy ass. That was quick. The Golden Boot Pod says Daniels would never wear flip-flops. He's a Crocs man, lemon pepper steppers. I'm going to say this. I almost put a Ruffino's rants in this. Oh, shoot. Hiya. Kick the camera. See, every time somebody says lemon pepper steppers, God damn it. Hold on. See, Pooh Bear, look what you made me do. I was trying to get my lemon pepper steppers, and I kicked my stupid camera. See, Pooh, I'm blaming you on this one. All right. There we go. Hey, at least I'm having to adjust my camera instead of like Zach's show yesterday where you had to see his brittle knees. Yeah, did y'all see that? Oh, poor Zach, man. Man's got the most white man knees of all time. I mean, tell me you do yard and landscaping. I mean, Zach, do you have a tomato field in your yard? He's nodding his head yes. Ryan Thibodeau says controlled spraying is key. Chris English says Brooks, he picked Nuss twice so far. Yeah. So we can go over to the defensive side. Guys, yesterday on the defensive side of the ball, multiple looks in a short amount of time. Guys running in and out, knowing where they need to go, lining things up. I'm not saying this because this young man comes on the show. Go watch the film. There's a lot of film of it. Mike Jones calling out the defense. They're going to have multiple looks, guys. Mike looked good yesterday. I really like what he was doing. Mike forcing the fumble on John Emery yesterday, I thought was really big. But they're running multiple looks. They came out in the 3-4. Next play, they coming out in a four down line situation. Savion Jones getting a lot of reps at defensive end. Jacoby and Guillory rotating in and out. 4 guys with their hands in the dirt. Ali Gay, there's a lot of things to really like about what this defense is doing. Right now, the offense is putting in their simple stuff. What the defense is doing is they want to rotate in personnel and get guys lined up and ready to go. The offense has not had a lot of success on this defense so far. They just haven't. But that's to be expected. We talked about that a couple of weeks ago. So many people talk about how the offense is always ahead of the defense. That's never the case. If you ever hear that the offense is always ahead of the defense coming out into a new installation, not only is that wrong, and the only time that really happens is if you have a Hall of Fame type of quarterback. We do not have a Hall of Fame. Jane Daniels hadn't been here 12 days. So let's see how that continues to go. White man, Zach, I don't think heard that, but he does have white man knees. He's got a tomato garden in his front yard. Hey, man, there's nothing wrong with having a tomato garden. He shells peas with his, our grandmothers used to teach us how to shell peas. Chris Barnhill says Kansas came out of the locker room blazing hot. I like that. Rob Boudreaux sending another $4.99 via Super Chat. I love it. LSU Colby, Miles is just fragile. Totem pole. Oh, that's what I was going to say before I kicked my camera. Did y'all hear Miles Brennan yesterday talk about his flip-flop story? It's not funny. At least to me, it's not funny. There's nothing funny to me about going on a boat, tripping over your flip-flop and breaking your arm, risking hurting yourself and hurting your team. It's nothing funny. I'm glad Miles is back. I'm glad he's okay. There's absolutely nothing funny about that to me. Nothing. Well, Blake, he's got to live his life. Blake, I don't know about you guys, but the only thing I'm going to say is this. It's not funny to me at all. At all. It actually is very irritating to me. I don't want there to be jokes being had about a guy that you've invested, this program has invested a lot of time in, and we're making fun of and laughing about his flip-flop story. That does not go over well with me, guys. It just doesn't. Think what you want. Call me, Blake, the get off your lawn segment of the day. Really doesn't bother me what you think on that. It's not funny. Let's grow up a little bit. What would happen if Jaden Daniels tripped over a flip-flop and hurt himself? I knew we shouldn't have gone after a transfer quarterback. We just wasted a scholarship, Blake. There's this boy, Blake Ruffino, over at AYS Sports. He was talking about how Jaden Daniels this and Jaden Daniels that. Y'all be up in here, throwing a conniption fit. C-Man on YouTube says, can you talk about the running backs? Look, John Emery looks, and all Paul's intended here, looks very thick. I mean, looks like he's put on some weight. Looks extremely focused. Did have a fumble yesterday. Kind of a little bit to be expected, though. I mean, look, you got to knock some. This is what spring's for. Knock some of this rust off. Cardell Thomas got beat by Jacoby and Guillory pretty bad. And Jacobian was in the backfield. And as soon as John Emery took the snap, Mike Jones, and Jacoby and Guillory was in the backfield and forcing a fumble. So knock some rust off for them. Corey Connor looked okay. Looked a little bit leaner. Corey came in a little heavy last year. Corey was a little heavy. And then they started throwing the ball to Trey Bradford. So if that should tell you anything, I think John's going to get majority of these carries in spring. One thing I will say. You notice how LSU has, and I'll get to Zach's point here about Garrett Dellinger, by the way, from the other day and why I was telling you I was keeping that one pretty close to the vest. Garrett Dellinger did not go at all yesterday. I mean, he sparingly in technique drills. That's why I'm kind of keeping it close to chest. Let me say this. It's funny how we have 100% attendance at practice, isn't it? Oh, wait, y'all didn't hear? Did y'all know that even if you're injured, LSU's having 100% attendance in practice? Let me ask, what did and you guys can comment on this. What did you think was going to happen when Brian Kelly came here? Like, what did you think? What did you think was going to happen? You thought he was just going to change his ways? He wasn't going to hold people accountable? Hell, if we can hold coaches accountable, why can't we hold players accountable? Let me say this too. For everybody saying that he's doing something wrong about this accountability thing, whether the Brody Miller story is true or whether Brody is getting that from somebody, which I believe that Brody will be or is, let me say this. It doesn't give two Rudy Poos to me who it's rubbing the wrong way about Brian Kelly making sure players are accountable. There is absolutely nothing. I mean, absolutely zero, nada, zilch, wrong with Brian Kelly holding individuals on his team, coaches and players, accountable for their actions, whether it be on and off the field. Nothing. Like, what's the issue? And if there is an issue, bye. I mean, guys, we all have to be accountable. We all have to be accountable. Some of you that run your business, you would hold your employees accountable of things that they do and do not do. You reward them for success. You hold them accountable for failure. You know, if Zach's not showing up to work every day, what do you want me to do? I mean, maybe I'll give him the people's elbow. You know, hashtag The Rock. Maybe I'll do a Stone Cold Stunner. What? You know, maybe I'll hit him with the rock bottom. If you smell what the Rock is cooking. But everybody's got to be held accountable, myself included. Anytime you do something at high volume and high success, you have to keep people accountable. What is so wrong with that? Your biggest star on the team showing up to spring practice even though he's hurt. Didn't do that shit under Orgeron, did he? There's nothing wrong with that. Hey, take mental reps. You don't, at this point, Kayshon Boutte doesn't need the physical reps. Not right now, he doesn't. Not right now, he doesn't. But what, like, and Zach, I'll ask you this in a minute. So get ready for this question. But there's absolutely nothing with holding somebody accountable. If you want to win, if you know why LSU won in 2019? Because Joe Burrow kept everybody accountable, Ed Orgeron included. So I don't, you know, when Jason says this and I see this, he says business decisions, not emotional decisions. It is a business decision to hold people accountable and go out there and kick somebody's arse. It is a business decision. Players not being late for meetings. Players having 100% attendance. Understand what I'm telling you here. You have 100% attendance, whether injured or not, at LSU football spring practice day 2. 100% attendance. And he's going to just tell you like it is. Brian Kelly coming out after practice saying, guys, we're just not ready. I mean, what does that tell your team? What does that tell your team? Not going for 4 hours in a 3.5, 4 hours in a practice. Guys, go full speed. We'll fix things on film. Let's do a mental. There's more things than doing it with mental reps as well. Guys, football is a very mental game, just like baseball and basketball is. Guys at this high of a level, especially the starters. Now, you got to go out there and get reps. Nobody's saying that. They did 23 periods on practice. Oh, shouldn't have said that. Whoopsies. LSU football did 23. Now we're all in there now. Did 23 periods. Get in there 2 hours. Let's go full speed, high intensity, and let's get it done. Let's get it done. Okay. We'll get to a couple comments. Eric Wright said Notre Dame, and Zach, you can find some too if you want. Eric Wright says Notre Dame went 11-2 last year. LSU went 11-11 the last 2 years. Which way would you like to be rubbed? Well, pause, but I mean, give me 11-2 each season. I'm not here. We're not here to baby anybody. We're not here to play games. Winning national championships and be dominant like LSU's been over the last 2 years. It's not just you go out there and you're not held accountable and you do whatever you want. You got to go out there and dominate, be focused, be disciplined. If LSU football, if every LSU football team is focused and ready to dominate, they're not going to lose a lot of games. Now, let me tell you something that is kind of making my eyes kind of perk up and my ears perk up when Brian Kelly speaks. He's talked a lot about going out there and winning a championship. I mean, it's everything that he talks about. Yeah, we want to win a championship. 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 Yeah, but I want to win. Yeah, but I want to win. I don't know about you guys, but somebody, a lot of people have told him that, well, look, man, it's a rebuilding year and you got to do this and you got to do that. And you got this piece and that piece and this piece and that piece. Somebody needs to tell Brian Kelly that somebody forgot to tell Brian Kelly that he's not here to win a championship. Sarcasm, right? Because he doesn't really know any better at this point. All right, Zach, what you got? What's another comment you got for us? Carl Dunn says, I love it. Hashtag accountability. I love it too, Carl. Andrew Martin says, can't handle the heat. Get out the kitchen. Yeah. Like this is Guy Fieri. Or what, Zach, what's that guy's name? The British guy that's really mean to people. Somebody fired inside. He's really mean. He does a cooking thing. He's really mean to people. Treats him like starts with a G. Not for what Gordon Ramsay or Gordon Ramsay, right? Yeah. Max Julian says hashtag ask Blake. The players are getting paid. Their asses better be accountable. Come on, Max. Who's next? Max. No. Hold on. Go back to it, Zach. Who's getting paid? I'm not going to go down that tangent with you, Max. I'm just not going to do. You know what? Maybe I will. Stop. Them getting paid. Hey, you know whose teams were accountable before NIL started? Saban's. You know who else's were? Brian Kelly's. Has nothing to do with NIL and getting paid. At some point, people got to stop with the NIL. Guys, guess what? You can't make profits off of young kids and not pay them something. And before you say tuition, LSU making $100 million a year when it comes to seating and when it comes to ticket sales for LSU football, spare my ass. Spare me. Do 100,000 times 100 times 8. See how much money you get. Next. What else we got, Zach? Terry Dillahuse says, let BK do his work. Yeet. I agree. What else we got here? Aaron Adams says, excited about the laser-focused team with the talent we always bring in. Yeah, and that's the dangerous part of all of this, right? Like, that's the danger and bringing in a coach that teaches accountability, right? Like that's the danger. You know, if Brian Kelly's able to help develop this offensive line with guys like Keishawn Boutte, by the way, Brian Thomas Jr. and Chris Hilton look damn good. Brian Thomas Jr.'s put on some weight, y'all. Like he's not like as string beanish as he was a season ago. Got a lot of, I'm telling you, y'all gonna call me crazy. Brian Thomas Jr. reminds me a lot of AJ Green when he was at Georgia. I think that they're a spinning image of one another. All right, one more, and then we're going to get to Zach. What else? What other comment? Preach, Blake. Okay. Let's bring in Zachy. Zachy, how are you?
I'm doing good. Have to say, I did my homework. So, teacher, I'm turning in my work. I watched the replacements.
Okay. Well, let's start there. If you missed the last episode, Zach did not. Let's put on some tunes in the background here. Zach did not, as we wrap up the show, but Zach said he never watched the replacements. Give me some of the notes. What position does Shane Falco play?
Quarterback.
What?
The replacement quarterback. Lost the Sugar Bowl.
To whom?
I can't remember that, so I'll take
State.
the slack for that one. Florida State.
He lost to Florida State. Where did he play?
Ooh, that's a good question. I don't remember that one, so you can get me for that one too.
Ohio State. If you miss one more, I swear to God, you're going to have to do push-ups.
Oh boy.
What position did Danny play?
Danny Bateman?
Yes, Danny Bateman.
Linebacker.
Okay, good. How did you like the movie, Zach?
I liked it. I love sports movies. I'm happily found out that you and I do agree on number one best movie of all time, sports-wise, at least. Remember the Titans. I can do without so much the romance, but because, it's a sports movie.
Oh, no. Zach froze again. No. Speaking of Spectrum Internet. Poor Zachy. Poor Zachy. My man. All right, let's see if we can get Zach back up in here. Chris English says, I haven't seen a weak wide receiver yet. Lacey is looking strong as well. Yeah, he hadn't really been out there a whole lot. Max Jones says, well, I just meant it's like a job. I'm all for NIL. Gotcha.
Zach, internet, please.
Yeah, you're going to have to do something. You might have to just go outside and get you like a hotspot. You're going to have to do this in the weather. If it's snowing outside, you're going to have to be the producer outside.
I know it. Am I throwing off cellular data or something?
So let me ask you, we talked about a lot of things in the show. What are some things that you have seen the last couple of days that you like from this LSU football team, and then we'll kick it over to baseball?
Yeah, well, I talked about this on our show yesterday. Like, one of the things that I saw was when you go back to Brian Kelly's press conference, he tells you a lot of things without straight up telling you. And you're starting to see a lot of that throughout spring practice, a lot of things that he has been trying to tell you without just straight up telling you. Right. You're seeing that play out as we see these spring practices. Another thing, Blake, is I don't know if you saw Quincy Wiggins out there, but holy cow, that dude that dude's a straight man. I saw a picture of him next to Mason Smith. Mason Smith's got the bigger body, but dude, Quincy Wiggins is straight muscle, and I'm really excited to see him. You talked about this a little bit. I am really excited to see John Emery get out there in live action and see how he does coming off the injury, coming off the ineligibility. I'm really excited to see him because it seems like they've got a lot of footage of him out there right now on Twitter and wherever else you go to watch the spring practices, and he looks good so far.
Doughboy says, at RU Series Sports, do push-ups on live, bro. No, I got all the answers right. All right, Rory7 says, I'd like to see Miles, Nuss, and Howard leave LSU so the news media can kiss Jane Daniels' butt every day. Jane Daniels ain't nothing, never been nothing, and never going to be nothing. Says the guy who won't put a picture to his profile. Roy, let me ask you this. How many touchdowns has Jane Daniels thrown in his career at Arizona State? You have no idea because you probably have never done anything in your damn life. Zach, so you talk about Quincy Wiggins, you talk about some of the defensive guys. Anything offensively stand out to you? Maybe like speaking of Jaden Daniels, maybe him running at QB1, did that stand out to you any?
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about a lot, and so nothing much more to this other than, why else would Jaden come to LSU other than to be QB1? And like I said, Brian Kelly has sort of made that known, it seems like, without straight up telling you. And so you're starting to see that play out on spring. Blake, I don't know about you, but I'm really interested to see how this offensive line plays out. Obviously, they're still trying to recruit offensive line right now. And so I'm really excited to see how that plays out.
Truth, Zach. Don't tell them the truth.
We're not going to share anything.
Mm-hmm.
But we're excited. I'm excited at least to see how that offensive line plays out. You mentioned John Emery. I mentioned John Emery. I'm excited to see how that running back rotation plays out as well, because we know, back when Frank Wilson was here the first time, he was a kind of a running back by committee, type coach. He fed the hot hand. It's not like what we're used to seeing whenever you just give the ball to Clyde Edwards-Helaire, almost every single play. So this might be a little bit different for us, especially when we start getting to live games and we start seeing these guys. I fully expect John Emery to be RB1, but don't be surprised if you see a lot of other guys get some reps in there as well.
Offensive line wise, they're not where they're going to be. Miles Frazier's not going to be on second team. He's going to be a starter.
Yeah.
I'm really interested to find out what they do with guard. They made Tremont Shorts run yesterday for missing a block. And so let me tell you something. As somebody who had a coach that made them run. So Brett Beard, the head coach at Denham Springs High School, I'm going to clip this and I'm going to share it to our coach, Brett Beard. We need to put your overlay on here too, Zach. But I'm going to clip this and send it to my good friend Brett Beard over at Denham Springs. So let me tell you this. When we were playing baseball at Franklinton High School, this man would write down on a chart everything that we did wrong. Pop up, ground ball, everything. Okay. And he would run the piss out of us day in and day out, football wise too. Okay. And so we were so scared to make a mistake. Okay. And we were beating teams, Zach. I mean, we beat one team 20-1. Then he made us run circuits. Then we ran bleachers. One day we lunged like the football field, the entire football field, there and back like 6 times. Okay. Then all of a sudden we played the best team in the state. And we lost. And we were freaking out, right? Like we were so panicked, like, oh man, this is what we were doing when we won. What's going to happen when we lost? He didn't do anything. He goes, now y'all are ready. Okay. And so I take what Brett Beard taught me at Denham Springs or at Franklinton, now being at Denham Springs, and looking back on the accountability. My senior year was the best football team that I think that we had ever had. Best baseball team that we'd had in a long time. Baseball wise, we weren't the most talented, but man, we were disciplined. We were focused. You just weren't going to out, prepare us and be more focused than us. And so for that, I think that's kind of the same stuff that Brian Kelly does, right? He brings in this focus. So you see Tremont Shorts running for the accountability, for missing a block. Guys are going to want to be like, hey, bro, I got to do everything I got to do to make sure that I'm getting this right and I know where to go. So I don't think that this offensive line is, where they're going to be. They're going to have different starts, but I think that they're, here's the thing. They have the talent. They have the depth. Now, do they have experience, depth and talent? I don't know that, but we'll find that out.
Well, to that point on accountability, I loved you talking about that because, I think that's something that you didn't really see a lot of the last 2 years, and you're seeing a lot of it now. And here's a big reason, Blake. I think, because Brian Kelly understands that he is being held accountable. You know, when you're paying a
Right.
guy $100 million, you know, you have certain expectations that you want him to meet. And
Mhm.
so, you know, because he understands that, he also understands I have to make sure that I'm holding everyone else accountable in this program. And so, you know, I love to see that from Brian Kelly. You know, and I think it was Andrew or somebody that said in the comments, you know, if you can't stand the heat, get out the kitchen. You know, I love that philosophy. I love that mentality because, like you said, it is going to push players to work. And we want to see
Right.
players that are here and willing to work and perfect their game.
Big baseball weekend. Very quickly before we get out here, well, let's go try to keep it under a minute. But thoughts on the LSU baseball weekend?
You know, things improved definitely where you were struggling. Pitching, outstanding. You know, Paul Gervais came in on Saturday. He played a great game. I've been really high on him for a long time now. Grant Taylor had 6 strikeouts when he came in. I honestly thought he might be get the start on Sunday, but they bring in Dutton, who has also been a really good arm out of the bullpen. And so between those two guys, they pitched phenomenally. You know, you didn't boot the ball around as much this weekend. I know we had, you know, I think it was 1 error today. You know, but overall on the weekend, you played very well defensively. And you also got better this weekend at timely hitting. You know,
Correct.
in past games, we've seen them, you know, when the pitching staff has given us a walk or given us, you know, a hits batter, you know, we weren't able to execute on that. This weekend, you did. You executed on the things that the other team gave you. And so, you know, those are things that we were seeing LSU really struggle with in the past. And so I'm really excited to see moving forward. If this continues, it seems like there was a switch flipped or something after Friday night, Blake. I don't know. I sent a tweet out. I think it was on our Tigers Avenue account. I don't know if they did like a, you know, like a team meeting or something, or Jay Johnson had to rally them together or something, but it worked.
Yeah, it really did work, and you know you got to give it credit to them. And look, let's see if they can rebound from and keep it going, keep the momentum going, and you know we'll see. All right, well that's Zach Lee. I'm Blake Ruffino, guys. We'll see y'all again tomorrow night, 7:00 Eastern, or 7:00 Eastern, 7:00 Central Time, 7 p.m. Central Time, I should say. We'll see y'all soon. You guys have a good night. Peace out, Girl Scouts.